This is John T for the Boxing Voice. I'm delighted to be joined this afternoon by head trainer for David Adeleye, Frank Greaves. How you doing, Frank?
I'm not bad, John. Thank you very much, mate.
Good, good. Stuck in the bubble, as we've just been discussing for nearly 24 hours. Can't even go out your hotel room, right?
Yeah. It's pretty boring, to be perfectly honest with you.
Do you take anything in with you? Like some of the fighters who I've interviewed, they're like, "Yeah, I've got my PlayStation. Are you a gamer or anything like that?"
No. Unfortunately, mate, I've got my computer, which I'm speaking to you on now, and I do a bit of editing work. So I'm literally sitting here doing an editing job at the moment. So I'm working, mate. Unfortunately.
Oh, it sounds like you're earning some money, so that's something. That's good.
Trying, mate. Trying to keep the missus happy.
Yeah, of course, got that. That's the number one rule, mate. Well, look, last time out, we spoke to you a little while back in the previous bubble. I think you're super experienced in this bubble environment now, probably 4 or 5 for yourself. But David looked fantastic last time out. Tell us about that and how the event was.
Yeah, it went well, to be honest with you. I mean, it's still, the whole bubble thing is a little different. So on that last fight, we stayed in a different hotel, and the conditions in the bubble was different to what they've been previously. It was a lot more strict. So I think the first couple of times we was in it, we was allowed basically the free roam of the hotel. We was the only ones that was in the hotel. And there was like a communal area where you go and have your food and have a drink and, just basically chew the fat for a few hours and just break the monotony, and then on that last show, we was basically confined to our own rooms in our own bubble. So I could go to David's room or Eddie's or whatever, but that was it. So it was like room service only. So you're literally not mixing with anyone else on the show, I suppose, just in case if someone did go down, then the whole show goes down. So now it's just this situation where we're effectively confined to either our rooms or each other's rooms.
So is that going to be the same for later on today and tomorrow then when your results come back?
No, we can then go out into the hotel, but there's nothing open in the hotel. So there's no restaurant open, there's no bar open, there's no nothing. So you're literally you're stuck in each other's pockets for 24 hours a day for 3 days. And as much as I like Dave and Eddie, I don't want to be in their company for 15 hours a day for the next 3 days. So it's pretty tough, mate. But listen, it's all good. I think we're all sort of generally chilled out, pretty laid back characters. So it's not too bad.
Good stuff. And so his performance last time out, he looked really good. So he's had 4 fights now, 4 wins. They've all been stoppages. He definitely looks like he's got power. Were you impressed with him last time out? Learn anything?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was. He definitely took his time a little bit more. He put his shots together. He picked his punches that little bit better. I think possibly in the first 3, it was literally just, seek and destroy. And I wouldn't say that there wasn't a lot of method to it because there certainly was. But it's that transition between being in the amateurs where you've got 3 rounds to go and get the job done to potentially building into what's going to be a 12-round fighter. And you can't, not unless you've got a phenomenal type of freakish engine, you can't fight at that intensity in that pace for 12 rounds. So it's a case of trying to slow him down. And as I say, last time out, he looked a hell of a lot more measured to me. Picked a few nice shots. Ultimately, I was a little disappointed in Danny Whitaker. I don't know, I was there when he boxed in the Ultimate Boxer. And he obviously went out and beat Jonathan Pilato in the first fight. And then he got stopped in a round against Nick Webb. But he really had a go. He really got on the front foot and he really, really, really tried. So, I mean, obviously credit goes to David. I think if my memory serves me well in the fight, the first sort of 10, 15 seconds they went out, shaped up, had a look at each other. Whitaker threw a shot and David stepped back and countered him with a sort of left scoop uppercut type shot. Pretty unusual as a counter to get hit with that shot and possibly put Whitaker into his shell. But I was a little bit disappointed that he didn't try and come and put it on David because he spoke before the fight that, I'm going to come and have a real go and I've got nothing to lose. But yeah, look, ultimately the performance was everything that I wanted. He got the stoppage. He looked well doing it. I don't think he took a shot back. So yeah, it was all good.
And to be fair, like you said, if he's caught him early and he's thought all the power is what maybe I expected or what people have talked about, he's done a good job there. He can only beat what's in front of him. And well, that brings me on to the next fight, which is obviously Friday. First of a massive weekend. I'll come on to the other cards in a minute. Some big fights going on, but his opponent appears to be a bit of a step up now, which I'd expect. So what are you kind of expecting this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, look, on paper, he's not a step up. You look at his records, he's 2-8, as opposed to Whittaker was 4-1. But effectively, records are for DJs. It really doesn't matter. I mean, Marnev was a reasonable amateur boxing, the World Series of Boxing. A lot of amateur experience. Admittedly, not as big. But yeah, I'm expecting to have a slightly tougher test than Danny Whittaker last time. Certainly a more well-rounded opponent in front of us, someone that knows how to move their head and feet and knows how to disengage. He's going to make David come looking for him, which is going to be good. And he's not going to stand there like a heavy bag. He's not going to just stand there and allow himself to be blasted out. He's going to either fire back or get on his back. So, I mean, that's what these early fights are all about. It's about getting different opposition in front of you, getting different looks, doing different things, working on different things in the gym, becoming that more well-rounded fighter. I mean, I don't read too much into it, and I certainly don't give it any credence. But you read some of the stupid comments that you see on social media about, step this guy up, he's fighting this, that. It's like, mate, you haven't got the foggiest idea what you're talking about. They're looking at a guy that's got a 2-8 record, no idea what he's done in the amateurs, no idea what he's been like as a pro, and it's just total and utter crap, to be perfectly honest with you. But again, look, David's 24. We're not in any rush. We're going to move as fast as we want to move, and that's it.
That makes perfect sense. You're the head trainer for a reason, and you're experienced in your trade. That sometimes I think the fans, and I'm a fan as well, right? Sometimes when you look at someone, whether it's David or someone else, you think, oh, I wish it was a better fighter, just because you want to see it. But the fighter might not be ready yet. Yeah, that's why they go through 4 rounds, 6 rounds, 10 rounds, etc., and step up
completely. Yeah, completely. I mean, you look at a great example was Lawrence Okoli last week, in his 15th, 16th fight, has won a world title. And people, I've had a couple of people say to me this week, when's David going to be fighting for titles? When this, when that? I had a look at Lawrence Okoli's record, and his 6th, 7th fight, he was fighting journeymen. Yeah. And the step up comes when the step up comes. It really is as simple as that. I mean, David had like 30 odd amateurs. It's not a lot of fights. He's 24 years of age. He's got the tools. He's got the athleticism. He's got the punch power. He's got the right mentality. So we're just, we're going around the gyms. We're sparring different people. We're getting good sparring, good rounds in against good fighters, and learning our trade. So, and again, I think I touched on it on the last interview that it's really tough at the moment, opponent-wise. Because people are just not ready, or they're not in the gym, or and listen, it's not a case of saying that we want everything in our favour, but at the end of the day, we're the home fighter. We're the guy who's learning our trade on our promoter's show. Yeah. So to a degree, I do want everything in my favour. I don't want to fight an opponent at 2 days' notice when we've had a 12-week camp. But that said, I don't want to give an opponent 12 weeks' notice either. So, right at this moment, with everything that's going on in the world, I'll leave my tinfoil out off. I won't get involved in all that stuff at the moment. But with everything that's going on out there, it's pretty tough to get opponents. So you know what? I'm pretty pleased that we got Marnev.
Yeah, and Frank obviously got a lot of time and obviously faith in David that he's had him out on repeated shows in the bubble. So at least you're getting David out.
Exactly.
Better than some fighters, which is great. Well, I'm sure we'll come through Friday, and we watch with anticipation as usual when he's in there, and hopefully another stoppage for you. A couple of other fights I wanted to touch on this weekend, if that's okay. On the same card, there is another heavyweight. Nathan Gorman's back out. Do we expect Nathan to come through that?
He's on the build on the Saturday. We're on the Friday, so he's on the Saturday. Yeah. We're the 26th, is the 27th. Yeah, I expect him to come through it. I don't know too much about the opponent. I think he's Polish, based in Germany, something like that. Pavel Sauer. I don't know. As I say, I don't know too much about him. I haven't taken the time to really look him up. But yeah, I mean, I expect Nathan to come through that. Look, he got decent rounds in last time out, regardless of what subsequently happened to Larty getting stopped against Wardley. You know, these things happen. But look, as far as Gorman's concerned, he'd had a long layoff. He got good rounds under his belt. So yeah, I expect him probably to come through and look pretty decent doing it, to tell the truth. I mean, again, I don't know what they're aiming at, but you've got to assume that at some point in the not too distant future, Joe Joyce is going to drop the British title. And if you're Nathan Gorman, you've got to be sitting there thinking, I want that title.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I expect him to come through.
Yeah, reason I ask, same promoter, and again, I know that you guys aren't rushing David, but the fans, the journalists, if you like, they're sort of like, maybe that's a fight for David. Few more down the line for an English title or British, maybe not straight away, but a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, anything's possible, right? So, we've had, as I alluded to earlier, we've been around the gyms. We've had some good sparring. We've had some great sparring. We've been in with Derek Chisora, Cash Ali this time out, a couple of young amateur kids. So we've really mixed it up. A couple of decent cruisers. You know, it's been really good, and it's been a decent learning experience as well. Not just for David, but for me about David as well. I've seen different things that different sparring partners have brought, different things we need to look at, different things we need to work on. So again, you know, you've got to bear in mind that me and David have only been together for a year, and we've had 3-4 rounders together. Or, you know, what's he done? I think he stopped Matt Golden in 2, then he stopped Phil Williams in 3, then he stopped the last guy in a round and a bit. So, you know, he's done 5 rounds. It's not that much time, you know. We really haven't got that much time, and that kind of feeds back into the whole, when's he going to go and fight? Well, you should fight Nathan Gorman now. It's like, don't be ridiculous. You know, the kid's had 4 fights, for Christ's sake.
Exactly.
But yeah, listen, in future, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, look, if I was in Gorman's position, you know, he's effectively a well-rounded pro now. Obviously, he's had that layoff after the Wild defeat, and I know he had issues going on outside the ring. If you're him, you've got to be looking at getting past this opponent and then going to fight for the British Commonwealth title, and then push on from there. So realistically, by the time that Dave gets to that level in however long it is, be it 6 months or a year or whatever, you'd like to think, if you're Gorman, that you've moved on past that stage, or at least you're looking up rather than behind you. But again, with everything that's going on, COVID, opponents, who knows what's going to happen? So, you know, like I've said, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of mentality, David's definitely got the right mentality. In terms of physicality, definitely. He just needs to learn to pace himself that little bit better. Needs to learn how to use the rounds that little bit better. And that just comes with experience. And that comes from being in camps, doing the rounds in sparring, and then hopefully getting a few rounds under your belt on fight night. I mean, again, look, everyone wants the explosive knockout. Everyone wants a first round stoppage to a degree. I don't really want that. I want a few rounds. I want to try different things. I want to have a look at a few different opponents and get a few rounds under our belt. So yeah, we'll see.
When you break it down like that as well, I mean, I knew that obviously he's only had 4 fights and 3 with you, and he doesn't stop them early. But when you sit there and think he's had like 5 rounds with you in a year, you're right. It's like you don't even really know him yet. It's so hard to assess where he's even at. He could be miles ahead of where he's at, or he might not be as advanced as you'd hope. Right. Well, look. On the, if it's okay, move on to the other promotion now. So I know it's Matchroom, but there's a couple of big heavyweight fights this weekend. I wanted to get your expert opinion on. So I was talking around that British kind of level. We got Fabio Ward out. He's a friend of the show as well. He's doing really well with his career recently. He is out against Eric Molina, which is a step up. Some are saying he's probably got him at the right time, but he'll probably be tested more than he has done. Do we expect Fabio to win that?
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah, I mean, again, look, boxing, especially at a certain level, there's a wonderful art of matchmaking, and I think potentially they've got Molina. You know, he's certainly past his best. Obviously, you've got that element. I know Molina's been saying that, you know, this is my last hurrah and I'm going to give it my all and whatever. But he's going to say that, isn't he? But yeah, I expect Fabio to win and you know, look pretty decent doing it. hopefully we see him get hit on the chin and see how he reacts to that. Because I think, again, it's one of those things that, it's one of those tests that you need to go through. You need to come through a little crisis, regardless of the level, as it were. But yeah, I fully expect that he comes through that.
Yeah, interesting. And then the big one on that card, the rematch, White Povetkin. Many people were surprised at the first fight. Heavyweight boxing, anything could happen. So some people weren't. But do you expect him to avenge that, or will it be a repeat?
Do you know what? I'll be better placed to answer it after the weigh-in, after seeing what they both look like and what they both weigh on the scales. I personally think Dillian was far too heavy in the first one. I think carrying that amount of weight is too much for him at the elite level, personally. But I think there's going to be a hell of a lot he's going to ride on how much having COVID took out of Povetkin, whether or not he's recovered from it. The fact that he's 41, the fact that, okay, it only went sort of 4.5, 5 rounds last time out, but he got dropped twice. It's quite hard at that age, with suffering from COVID in between, to be at your peak. So it'd be interesting to see what sort of condition he looks in on the scales. From purely, taking all that stuff off the table for a second and just looking at it purely as a fight, you've got to favour Dillian. He was obviously in the ascendancy up until that point. But that said, it's a 12-round fight, so you can't, there's been plenty of football teams that have been 2-0 up until the 80th minute and got beat 3-2 by the 90th. And no one says, oh, they was lucky to win. It's a 90-minute game, and same as it's a 12-round fight. So it's interesting that Povetkin's clearly going to know that regardless of anything that goes on in the fight, he carries the power to turn Dillian's lights out. And I don't think Dillian's the type of fighter to be affected by the stoppage like that. I don't think he's the type to go into his shell mentality wise. Sorry. I think he's the kind to say, you know what, be real about it. It's heavyweight boxing. It can happen. It's happened to me. So what? I'm going to go and stop him next time. So I think it's a real 50-50 fight. And I'll lean one way or the other. I won't sit on the fence, but I'll lean one way or the other once I've seen them both on the scales. I'd like to see Dillian like half a stone lighter, 3/4 of a stone lighter, come in, just be able to use them feet that little bit more. And he should win. He should win.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's really compelling fight of both cards. Well, all 3 cards, to be fair. You've got one on Friday, one Saturday with BT, and then you've got the Matchroom one as well. So it's a great weekend for boxing. Lastly, before I let you go, sticking with the heavyweights, get your expert opinion again. Not yet announced, or has it been announced? Not sure, Fury Wilder, but do we expect that to happen in the summer? And if so, who wins?
I expect it to happen July time-ish. That way it gives them time to get another one in towards the back end of the year, November, December time, should they. They've been talking about a 2-fight deal. Yeah. So, I think potentially it happens late June, early July, mid-July. Obviously it depends on fans coming back in and whatever else, what's going on COVID-wise. But, I expect it to happen. Again, I think it's a lot closer fight now than it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Certainly prior to the Ruiz 1 defeat for AJ, I think if you'd have put the two together at that point, I'd have picked Fury all day long. Having been there and seen Joshua up close and personal when we've been up there sparring, I definitely think it's a lot closer than it was, but I still lean towards Fury. I just think he's more versatile. He's obviously, I would say, he's got a better ring IQ. In terms of actual intelligence, there probably isn't that much difference between the two of them. But Joshua's certainly using his athleticism, he's using his feet that little bit better. He's not just seek and destroy. I think it's a hell of a lot closer than it was, but I just lean towards Fury. And possibly, again, because we know that he can get hit and get hurt and be okay and get through that, as we've seen on numerous occasions. We've seen the same with Joshua with a Klitschko fight, but I'm not quite sure if Fury hits him and hurts him. I don't think he's going to let him off the hook like Klitschko did.
Really interesting, as always. Great breakdown of all of it, and all of these are British heavyweights. That's where the top ones seem to be at the moment, which is great for us over here in Britain. So
top ones at the moment, and the top ones in the future as well, mate.
Yes, of course. We chuck David in there, definite. Well, look, good luck on Friday evening. I know the bubble's going to get really busy today. I've just seen them all arriving for Saturdays. So if you can get out and about, it might be a bit busy. But we'll pick up with you soon after the fight. And good luck. Thanks, Frank.
Nice one, mate.
Cheers, bud.
Yo, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, Entitled, betting shows. The list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.